stand and do morning prayers.
Does anybody need this?
Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Praise be to thee, most supreme God, omnipotent, omnipresent, all-pervading, the only being. Take us in thy parental arms, raise us from the denseness of the earth. Thy beauty do we worship, to thee do we give willing surrender. Most merciful and compassionate God, the idealized Lord of the whole of humanity, thee only do we worship, and towards thee alone do we aspire. Open our hearts towards thy beauty, illuminate our souls with divine light. O thou, the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, all-powerful Creator, Sustainer, Judge, and Forgiver of our shortcomings, Lord God of the East and of the West, of the worlds above and below, and of the seen and the unseen beings, pour upon us thy love and thy light. Give sustenance to our bodies, hearts, and souls. Use us for the purpose that thy wisdom chooseth, and guide us on the path of thine own goodness. Draw us closer to thee every moment of our life, until in us be reflected thy grace, thy glory, thy wisdom, thy joy, and thy peace. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. May the message of God reach far and wide. Inspirer of my mind, consoler of my heart, healer of my spirit, thy presence lifteth me from earth to heaven. Thy words flow as the sacred river. Thy thought riseth as the divine spring. Thy tender feelings awaken sympathy in my heart. Beloved teacher, thy very being is forgiveness. The clouds of doubt and fear are scattered by thy piercing glance. All ignorance vanishes in thy illuminating presence. A new hope is born in my heart by breathing thy peaceful atmosphere. O inspiring guide through life's puzzling ways, in thee I feel abundance of blessing. O thou who art the maker, molder, and builder of the universe, build with thine own hands the universal, our temple for thy divine message of love, harmony, and beauty. So we'll start with purification breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Purification with the element of earth. As you inhale, imagine the magnetic field of the earth flowing up into your body. And then as you exhale, all of the impurities and misalignments of your magnetic field are realigned, and any impurities are taken back into the earth, in through the nose and out through the nose. Purification with water, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Imagining a stream of the element of water flowing over and through you from the top of your head down to your toes. Again, detoxifying, purifying, flushing out the toxins that we accumulate, physical, psychological, emotional. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And then purification with fire, the element of fire, in the mouth and out the nose. Imagining a hot flame in your abdomen, the seat of the ego, burning up any residual emotional traumas. And then as this flame rises to the heart, you exhale out the heart a beautiful golden radiance, as if there's a sun in your heart. In the mouth, out the nose. And finally, purification with the element of air, beginning with an exhalation out the mouth and in the mouth, very gentle breath. As you exhale, imagine that your being is expanding into the universe, into the cosmos, as far as you can possibly conceive, to be purified by the light between the stars. And then as you inhale, that purified being returns to your localized being, purified, rejuvenated. Out the mouth and in the mouth. So, today's retreat is all about wazifa, or mantras, as some people call them, wazifa in Arabic. And I just wanted to mention something that's kind of important before we start into the material. I was talking to one of my European murids online this morning, on instant messaging, and this person was feeling like they didn't know anything. Yesterday they knew a whole lot, and today it's all gone. Don't know anything. And what I said to this person was, that's normal. It's just how it is. You go from day to day, from moment to moment, trying to intellectualize and understand what it is that you are experiencing in the many ways that your being processes this information. And one of the ways that it processes it is by understanding intellectually. That's nice, except the intellect doesn't really work. Not for that. Not for this very deep states of, what would we call it, celestial expression, the divine coming through you, that kind of thing. And one of the side effects when you begin to really feel it is realizing that you don't know what you're doing. Wouldn't you say that's true?
Oh, yeah. I'm just going to shut this.
So when you begin to feel these various experiences, I know what I'm doing. I'm very cool. This is wonderful. All I need to do is take one more breath and I'll be enlightened. Okay, and then the next moment it's like, uh-oh. I have no clue what I'm doing. I wish someone would tell me what to do. That's a normal stuff that happens. So just be aware that there's a well-known path, and doesn't matter what your particular concentration is, what your religion is, what your esoteric focus is. The path is all the same. These things just happen, and we all know it. So just be aware that that's how it works. Okay. That said, there's a crossword puzzle in my.
What about when it's not only that I don't know what I'm doing, but when I make a big mistake, when I'm a jerk?
Oh, the jerk factor. I'm familiar with that. Yeah, when you suddenly discover some aspect of your being that is less than wonderful. Is that what you mean?
It's not coming along.
Yeah. You know what I always tell people when they bring that kind of thing up? It's not like it just appeared. It's always been there. You're just now noticing. Right?
Or you wished it. I knew, always have known I have that in me because I have such a quick temper.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes it just acts just like it did.
I've had that happen myself. I have these because I was extraordinarily angry, when I first started this path. And I mostly have that control, but sometimes when I'm in my shop and I do something stupid, I'll throw whatever it is I have in my hand and clear across the room and break something, Totally unreasonable, because all I have to do is then I'll say, wait a minute, stop, fix it. But nevertheless, it happens. Oh. It's rare, but it happens. So it's almost like it's a reminder.
So you're just saying that we have to acknowledge our jerk factor?
Yeah.
Well, and with a sense of humor, maybe.
Yeah. Just recognize it's there, and if it flares up and you slap somebody around, then you can always go apologize, I guess.
Or not.
Or not, depending on how you feel about them. Yeah. I saw Pierre Valais get angry once. It was scary. He was really upset. And he was containing it as best he could, but he really wanted to hit somebody. I knew he did. He didn't, but so that kind of taught me, okay, this is not. And isn't there a moment like there's that thing in the Bible when Jesus got angry and started tossing stuff around? Yeah. And I think that there's some kind of story about the Buddha as well. I can't remember what it was, but I think I'm pretty sure that there's a moment when he got really upset at something or somebody. So
well, you have to acknowledge that anger is part of being human, and we need all of our emotions, not just the nice ones. We need them all, and it's to acknowledge that's present in this experience of being human. So it's like accepting the totality of yourself.
There's a Sufi saying that the prophet does not become a prophet until the moment of their death, or their transition, however you want to think about it.
And I think you just said something about the personality is not necessarily the guide. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the guide?
The voice of God from within.
Okay.
The constant. How's that? What's
the constant stream of love that flows incessantly. That's probably not how it's put. I'll have to come up with another word. Keeps moving.
Constantly cometh from within.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, from the prayer.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So acknowledging that and recognizing that you're human, I suppose, when you do something that reminds you what a jerk you are. Okay? Just so you know, I fall in that category, as Modular will attest. But she never does.
No.
That's when she retired.
Okay. Okay, today is all about wazifa or mantra. Now I'm going to read through this material very slowly. If something catches you and you don't get it, you can say stop, read it again. That's fine with me because I want you to really dig into this material. It's important to understand all of this stuff in these lessons, but this is really very applicable because everybody that does this work gets these mantras or wazifas to say. And sometimes, as I was speaking to my friend this morning, it's like, I don't quite know what I'm doing. So, and that's not unusual. I know what she said. She said that I wish I'd read this earlier. Right? And what I replied to that was that I had what I think of as my breakthrough back in '99.
You've been initiated for years.
Well, I had the breakthrough then. Yeah, I've been initiated for 20 years by that time. And it was just a state of being that is indescribable. And it's since revisited me because now I know the path. But at that point, it was a revelation. And I remember very clearly my very first thought after I came back from that place was, why did this take me so long to get here? That was my very first thought when I was suddenly back in a normal state of consciousness. The next thought was, that's silly. It's not being silly. And the reason is you get it when you get it. And that's just the way it is. To push it or force it will not work. However, to not prepare is also silly. Right? To not continually work on yourself so that when that moment comes, you don't end up in a psych ward. Okay? Because Mercy was convinced that a lot of people that, you know this story. He went to the psych ward in some Parisian hospital and said, I can heal these people. And they wouldn't let him. Because he knew, they'd seen that very deep experience without any preparation. So that's what we're doing in a lot of ways. We're preparing. And there's other stuff that takes place, but that's certainly an aspect. Right? That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, I had belonged to a Christian mystic group in Seattle, and I lived there. And that was also brought up, that there actually people with considered schizophrenic quite often have had a spiritual breakthrough without any preparation.
Yeah. So it's well known. Okay, so that's what we're doing, at least in part, is preparing. But there's other stuff that takes place as well, Okay? Does that make it helpful in some way? I hope so. So, stop me if you... in fact, I'm going to read these first couple of sentences a couple of times because this is maybe the most important sentences in the whole lesson. A wazifa is a word, like a mantra, which acts as a catalyst, a trigger. It triggers off a process in the unconscious. It allows us to look into the awareness of a divine quality at the unconscious level so that it might blossom forth in definite, tangible qualities in our personality. It is not simply auto-suggesting a quality toward the unconscious. It is furthering this quality to the universal cosmic transcendental mode. It is the repetition of the sounds that evoke in us not just a thought, but an attunement. Okay? I'll read it again. A wazifa is a word like a mantra which acts as a catalyst, a trigger. It triggers off a process in the unconscious. It allows us to look into the awareness of a divine quality at the unconscious level so that it might blossom forth in definite, tangible qualities in our personality. It is not simply auto-suggesting a quality toward the unconscious. It is furthering this quality to the universal cosmic transcendental mode. It is the repetition of the sounds that evoke in us not just a thought, but an attunement. Okay?
Yeah, one of the key words there is the sound. So as you say the words, they actually create a vibration in your body, in your different subtle centers, and that makes the shift. It's like changes your emotion, changes how you're feeling, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vibrational shift.
Any questions or comments about what that?
Can you go back to the statement about the auto-suggest? Can you read that?
It is not simply auto-suggesting a quality toward the unconscious, which is something that people often think. Okay, if I keep saying this, it'll burrow in somehow.
Oh, okay.
It is furthering this quality to the universal cosmic transcendental mode. In other words, there's two poles to your repetition of a mantra or a wazaif. There's the pole of your being, expressing this, saying the word, saying meditation, saying the word, either automatically or with thoughtful. That actually doesn't, I'm not sure that matters a lot, as long as you do it. And there's also the echo in the universe. That is an awareness of your repetition of that word or phrase. Okay, so we become so intimately isolated within ourselves, and believe that we are alone and separate from all other things, and that's simply not the case. But acknowledging that you are expressing something that the universe is expressing is the next step in awareness.
Like distant healing?
Sarah?
When I heard those, it occurred to me that the first one, the auto-suggestion, sounded to me like I'm trying to force something, I'm trying to create something.
Yep.
The second one is more like an acknowledgement that it's already there and it's being brought out.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the first pole, right? That was with that which is within you, which is being evoked.
Mm-hmm.
The second pole is the echo.
Well, he says more about that.
He said, yeah, there's more in here about that very thing. Okay. All right. Next step, everybody. That's very important. I would stress that. I'll put on my glasses. It's not like a thought or a label. We impoverish the wazifa by thinking of it in terms of having a meaning that can be labeled or a concept. Isn't that an interesting statement? Mm-hmm. We impoverish the wazifa by thinking of it in terms of having a meaning that can be labeled. I would rather that we think of the wazifas in terms of emotions, emotion modes, rather than concepts of the mind. For example, the emotion of truth or the emotion of compassion. Truth is haq, compassion is rahman. If you know something about physiology, you know that pathways are frayed in the network of strands within the convolution of the cortical area of the brain.
Neural pathways.
Yeah, he's too funny. Rather like one can blast a path in the jungle. A good example is how the deer walking in the forest reinforce a path. One deer has followed and more deer follow, and eventually it really becomes a path, a trail in the forest which you can then follow. It is by repetitiveness that the path is reinforced and actually becomes more effective. That is the way the wazifa works on our unconscious, by the repetitiveness. The first stage is the saying of the word, but at a latter stage one just thinks the word. And then you can go into a further stage where one simply assimilates the meaning of the wazifa. You become it and are transformed. Now, as I was reading this paragraph initially, something occurred to me that's kind of important. And that is that one of the things that happens when you're a guide is the people that you guide will come to you and say, okay, I need a new practice. And you accommodate them because they feel they need it. The reality is they don't need a new practice. The practice is working on them, and it makes them uncomfortable and nervous because there's something happening in their subconscious that is being activated, and the personality is going, wait a minute, what are you doing to me? Right? So I need a new practice. I've had the same practice for, well, ever since Pure Light gave it to me 33 years ago. I still do it. And I'm still uncovering aspects of it that I didn't know existed. They keep evolving and emerging. Sometimes we get practices that are specifically aimed at a condition of life, and they're valuable. But your spiritual practices, just whatever you got, just keep doing it. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? Any questions about that? Or what?
Is that like a part of mastery through accomplishment in a way?
In a way. Yeah. Yeah. I'll give you an example from my life that might be helpful. So I had this practice that my guide gave to me. Told me to do it just 3 times, this specific practice, and then sit and ask, okay, what does this mean? That's kind of a traditional practice to give to people, that kind of thing. So I did that for 2 years. And then there was a moment when I was doing my morning meditation that I actually understood this practice. Man, I just got it. I knew everything about it. I understood the emotion. I understood the feelings. I thought I was done. So I went and told my guide, this is what happened, and here's what I experienced. And she was like, wow, that's great. I didn't even understand that much. And the next time we sat together, because I thought I was done, she says, okay, here's your practice. And it was the same practice. And I said, what? I thought I was done with that. And she just looked at me like, this is what, so obviously there was more. There is more. Because you're dealing, one of the ways to think of these practices is as if each one of them is an archangel. And you are developing a relationship with that angel. And that angel has a vast and powerful expression of divine intent. And that's interlocked with all the other aspects, right? In some way that we don't necessarily understand. And so you're developing a relationship with that archangel, and that can go on for a long time. Yes, ma'am.
I just realized something.
Good.
I've been doing Nur Shahid for years,
Uh-huh.
and I have felt done with it.
Ah.
I'm way grown up now. But I just realized in sitting here that I am always just ranting at my clients that they need to get interested in what's going on inside.
Mm-hmm. And
I'm trying to get them to do Nur Shahid.
how's that working out?
They don't get it. They don't understand what I'm saying.
So what is it that you're not understanding?
I have actually thought, I wonder if I could give them a wasifa. I need to do it some more and think about how it can translate into the words of counseling.
It could very well be that the approach that you're taking is insistent rather than helpful.
Right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck are you people thinking?
Yeah. God, you're really dumb, aren't you? You ever had that one?
No, but
I did.
I think it.
You're thinking. You don't actually say it. No. You just look at the look. Come on.
I have said, why did you get drunk? You could have just sat still and been interested in what was going on.
And they say,
I don't know.
I don't know. Right. Okay. Perhaps the key to all wazifas, in the words of Hazrat Inayat Khan, is to discover in yourself the same power, for example, that moves the universe, or the same joy that delights the universe, or whatever it might be, whatever practices you're doing. What's the light of the universe? Or, in my witnessing my own being, how does that feel as an expression of divine intent? What is that emotion? It's the cosmic dimension of that quality that sets the pace of the wazifa. Now, if you start with wahabo, it's very good because wahabo has such a sense of unlimited bounty, vastness, all-encompassingness. We'll get to the practice. It is an excellent choice as a... Oh, by the way, if I need to remind you of this as a caveat, as an individual, you never do a practice that's not assigned to you. In a retreat situation like we're today, it's perfectly okay. But as an individual, no, bad thing. It's like prescribing your own drugs or something. That's exactly what it is, actually. It is an excellent choice as a practice when on retreat, but it can be used in the home when one is taking some personal quiet time to reflect. At these times, you are making a transit from active life, and so you are conscious of being pulled in two directions. One is involvement in life, and the other is seeking freedom from involvement. You ever felt that? Both things are going on. One, you're actively pursuing whatever it is you're doing, and the other part is, let me out of here.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'd really like to go sit in a cave for the rest of my life. That's something Parallel used to say all the time. I'm here because you pulled me back. Wahabo is like a very profuse outpouring of all the qualities coming through your being, becoming a reality in your personality. I would say that Wahabo is the very epitome of what we would understand as a wazifa, that is, making God a reality. Refer to that saying of Murshid where he says, we think that we are a plant, but we are in fact a seed. Oh, by the way, the English translation of Wahabo is the stream of divine qualities flowing through you. That's the phrase you use with that practice. And we'll get to it as we do it. It'll make more sense. The plant is a seed that has unfurled, but one doesn't see the seed anymore. And that which is apparent appears now of the richness of the seed and is very little in comparison with the tremendous bounty that is pregnant in the seed. So we identify ourselves with this more limited aspect of our being that is the plant and call it our personality. Okay? But at the end of the cycle, the seed reemerges in the heart of the flower, and so you could say that our personality is like a plant, and perhaps ultimately is a flower, and that the reality of our being, that divine dimension of our being, is latent or virtual within the flower, and so the wazifa consists in discovering this latent bounty, which is here, not up there, but really is truly here in our being. Everybody cool with what anything I need to repeat there? You okay?
To repeat the last sentence.
Last sentence was half the paragraph. At the end of the cycle, the seed reemerges in the heart of the flower, and so you could say that our personality is like a plant, and perhaps ultimately is a flower, and that the reality of our being, that divine dimension of our being, is latent or virtual within the flower, and so the wazifa consists in discovering this latent bounty, which is here, not up there, but really is truly here in our being. Okay?
It kind of makes me think that latency is almost the fragrance. The being is the fragrance.
That's certainly one way to think about it. And it can, in fact, be a fragrance. And there is a name for it, which I forget. There's a name for that fragrance that can emerge. What is the name of that stuff?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
No.
Somebody tried to make a perfume that would actually
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
would mirror, or
That's right.
right?
Right.
And we had some of it for one time, and it was nice. It was really an elegant perfume.
Doesn't it also mean that we, like, thinking that we know who we are is crazy, because we have no idea how much that could blossom.
Yeah, but there's safety in knowing who you are. So you don't want to push on it too much.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
Let it, work on
Maybe
it
in
slowly.
retrospect.
Yeah, in retrospect, you see that you were really stupid when you were 20 or 18, right?
And that there was so much less to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it was all there. You just didn't know it, right? I remember very clearly understanding things very deeply when I was 5, but I had no way of expressing it. And then you get involved in the world, and you forget all that stuff, and you need to work on the world and do all the things that the world asks you to do and shows you as possible, and which is becoming more and more and more complex. And getting back to this way of being requires a little bit of effort and recognizing that it's okay to feel incompetent. That's an interesting way to put it. It is okay to feel that there's more to learn rather than to feel that you have to know. See the difference? Okay, Wahabo. In the word Wahabo, pronounced Wahabo by the Indians and Wuhadbo by their Arabs, choose whichever feels right to you, there is profusion, bounty, divine perfection. And you've had the sense of it being funneled down, consequently limited, but getting at least concretized, who uses words like this, concretized to the personality. It should give one a feeling of opening up to all the richness that is coming upon one. Of course, you can't hold it in. It's like a waterfall that overflows and can't be contained by the rocks or pond below, so it continues to overflow. Say the word swiftly so that the syllables run together like a river passing by from left to right in a steady stream. Repeat Wahabo fluently several times before breathing again, and feel the effect in your body and your consciousness over a period of time. This Wazifa said on the exhalation. Okay, so we'll do a little work on Wahabo. I'm going to do it a few times and show you how it's done.
Do it several times.
More than a few?
Yes.
How many more than a few is several?
No, 11. Some.
Oh, I mean, myself.
Yes.
So everyone kind of
Yes.
gets the gist of it. I know you know. You guys have done it. But we'll do it. Did I give it to you on your retreat? I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay, anyway, it's like this. Wahabo. You imagine a stream flowing over your left shoulder down to the right like that. But not over the top of you. It's kind of through you, through your being, passing through the various energy centers. But it's more this stream of multiple energies flowing through you. Wahabo. That's what Wahabo represents. And you do it like this. So you notice that as I got into it, it became much more fluid and just like a stream. You can even imagine a stream of a waterfall falling into a pond or something like that, like he described, or a fast-running stream over some rocks, or however it is you want to visualize it. That's entirely up to you. But okay, shall we try this? Ready? And don't worry about keeping time with everyone else. Just do it, whatever. Be internal. That's fine. inhale light, and then exhale wahabo. Okay. Go to the next section.
Sure.
Third paragraph down.
Oh, yeah. Now the counterpart of wahabo is vehido, pronounced vehado, vehado. Vehado is one of the forms of the word wahid, which means the alone. It is the Jacob's ladder that leads one into what the Sufis call the solitude of God. Wahid, wahadat in metaphysics, is the state in which God resorbs all things in the oneness. He's experiencing that state of solitude. This is specifically good as a practice for a pregnant woman when she needs to go inside to attune to the new being within her. She needs a zone of silence to accomplish this, and vehido is an aid to the spirit of silences. The way that Sufis look upon things is that in his exhaling, God shifts from the state of unity into the state of multiplicity. That is wahabo, like coming into existence. In his inhaling, God shifts back into unity, withdrawing all things back into the unity again. Every time that we are fraught with a desire to fulfill something in life, we are partaking of the divine exhaling. Every time that we are drawn into a state where we feel like withdrawing from active life, we are able to get back into our roots again. Then we are partaking of the divine inhaling, and that's vehido. So you can even think of that on the breath itself. It's like the exhalation is an expression of divine expression being out there, and the inhalation is going within. So it's like there's almost too much to think about with every breath on a daily basis. But if you think about it in terms of God's exhalation or God's inhalation, it makes a lot of sense, you know. And if you're with a lot of company all the time, it's like you just need to be alone for a while, you know. So you don't answer the phone, you go in your room and you sit, or you just be by yourself and hang out with yourself, whatever. And that's the that period of time that refreshes your being, you know. So these two wazifas, vehido and wahabo, can be used with the early morning purification breaths when breathing in the nose. So this part gets interesting. Okay, thank you. And out the mouth. So let's try that. So just as if you're doing the purification breaths again, purification of earth, okay? And so you can start with the inhalation, vehido, and exhalation, wahabo. So you don't have to think of it as wah like that, but you can just think wahabo. Okay, so let's just do that 5 times. Just exhale completely. Inhale vehido, exhale wahabo. can think of it also, as Sauer said, or Pierre Ballant said, to think of the Wahabo as a stream of water rushing through you, that like bubbling, fast-moving river or stream. And if you've ever noticed it, like early in the morning, a body of water that's rushing very fast, it'll have, or a waterfall, it'll have a whole area of mist above it. It's like sure in where you live, you see all that a lot. There's a lot of waterfalls where you are. And just above it is just this cloud of mist, and that's the vehedo. It's like that's the subtlety of it. It's really so it's happening at the same time. So you can think of that, or even a lake that's very still in the early morning. There's always this layer of mist above it, not always, but many times. And so it just has a different quality that's so beautiful and subtle. You just want to take it in. It's just such a quieting feeling. Right? So. Do you want to do that again? The vehedo wahabo on the breath, and then just check out how it makes you feel. All right, and you don't have to compare yourself with anybody else in the room either. You can just see how you feel. What's going on with you. Just stay with it a minute and see how what the emotion is within you. Would anyone care to share an inkling of what they got from it?
The imagery really helped me the second time with the mist and the water, the lake and the waterfall all at the same time, and then I feel like I was very balanced and intersected, and it was almost like an image of intersection and then some light. Then it gave awareness to a sense of fear that I've had
Okay,
for the past couple of months.
that came up.
Deeper
Yeah.
sense of fear.
Yeah, sometimes when you do these, sometimes things will come up, and then you just stay present to them and see what's about.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I had a sense of deep sadness that came up. Need to sit with.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that this won't change as you do the wazifa, but this is what's happening now, and you're like aware of, okay, I have to check this out. Yeah, I was recently doing some wazifa that were new to me, and the whole called up a lot of worries and fear that but it doesn't necessarily have to. You don't necessarily have to expect that kind of thing, but sometimes it happens. Anyone else?
I had a sense of longing on vehedo, and
Longing, did you say?
longing,
Like nostalgia kind of thing?
yeah, and just wishing to just let myself disappear into that part of it. And then the wahabo was just being carried along, And I was like, oh, but I just want to rest. But then I said, okay, well, what's with the carried along part? And there's just a joyousness in that too. So it's like antithetical. But I know it's not.
But you think about your life, you've got a lot going on in your life, so maybe you just do need that rest, you know, and take it for yourself, you know. Anyone else?
I liked that idea of balance.
Mm-hmm.
I was thrilled in a very different way on the in and the out. They both felt nice.
I used to be like question when people would give it. It's like, well, this is the inhalation and that's the exhalation. I would say, I can't think of all that all in one breath. You know, it's like, how can I do that? This is impossible. No, so you go through that kind of thing too. It's like, but then it's possible if you just simply tune into the emotion of what it brings you, and realize that emotion is like the river, the water streams through, and the water is constantly different. You know, it's different water going through. It's not the same water. So, okay.
What is the thing with die on the out breath?
What's the thing with what?
Die on the out breath.
The little death? You've heard that term? In esoteric schools, the idea is that when you are exhaling, you are emitting your being.
Oh.
And when you're inhaling, you're bringing it back. But if you exhale and then hold your breath, it's very hard for your being to come back. That's called the little death.
Oh.
So a lot of people have a habit. You can see it. You can watch them do it. You know, where they'll exhale and then they'll just stop breathing out of anxiety or fear or whatever. You know, it's always a negative emotion that's going on at that time. What they need to do is inhale and hold your breath.
So people have said don't hold your breath after the exhalation.
Although in some Buddhist practices, that's exactly what they do. So, you know, I suppose that they have a purpose in that. I've never quite understood that. Well, maybe we should find out.
Wouldn't that be tremendous preparation?
Maybe, the whole die before death part.
So the practice when we do the exhalation on the and then push out the la, is basically you are dying to yourself, so that when you breathe in, you're breathing in.
The thing is that as soon as you do that, you release the diaphragm and allow the breath to come in.
Okay.
You can't help it.
Yeah.
You have to breathe in because you're still alive.
Yeah. Okay. You ever been with someone that's dying?
When my mother was dying, it was a long, arduous affair. She quit sleeping nights and wanted my sister and I to stay up with her. So I used to spend every other night for months talking to her about Pure Vilayat and dying on the out breath. And in the end, she died in the morning on the in breath.
A contrary woman.
But I understand. Like, this feels like an understanding because my mother had no internal life. She was terrified of it. And so, like, I think it's pretty cool that she died on the in-breath. Like, it was the first time since World War II, probably, that she
had an inhalation that actually had, So that's the science of it. Okay.
Okay. So we're going to move on. Now, the next two wazifas, Batin and Zahir, are tandem wazifas which accompany with the earth breath. Oh, I guess this one. Wait a minute. Vehido, breathing in the nose and out. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it wrong. Vehido Mahabo should be early morning purification breaths when breathing in the nose, Vehido, and out the mouth, Wahabo.
So it's water breath.
It's a water breath. So let's do it again.
But it's still in and out.
Still in and out, but
just
since
breaths.
we're connecting it to the purification breath, just do it as a water breath. So in the nose, Vehido, out the mouth, Wahabo. Did you notice any subtle difference in that way of doing it? Or not?
Just felt natural.
Okay. All right. Anybody else want to say anything? Okay. The next two wazifas, Batin and Zahir, are tandem wazifas which accompany the earth breath. All right. As one inhales, one withdraws into the inner space and experiences the essence, but one also experiences oneself as the void. Okay. In the inner space, a new energy flows into the universe and into you. Through the solar plexus, you back into the inner space. You go back into the inner space, into the feeling of the veiled one, the consciousness of the mother of the universe as defined in Hinduism. During the inhalation, say Batin, accent on the first syllable. It helps to lower the head in order to remind oneself of one's inner space. We'll do these practices in a minute when we'll describe it a little further. The contrast to Batin is Zahir, and this is said on the exhalation. Batin is pronounced Zahir is pronounced Zahir. It means the manifestation, the epiphany, and is always in some way associated with light. The whole of the universe is radiant, the manifestation of God as light. That's the meaning of the word epiphany. When you say Zahir, you are conscious of the energy flow outward and become aware of the flow of your magnetic field, your aura. It is helpful here to raise the head and think of radiating the light outward. So that will give you a nice clearness as to the alternation between turning within, the veiled one, the simple Batin, and Zahir, the epiphany. All the stars, the radiance of the universe, the manifestation. So, let's just do Batin Zahir first, out loud, so you can see what it feels like. So Batin is just, it is going within. It's
the hidden.
The hidden.
That which is hidden within.
That's what the aspect of the veiled one is. And so you see the pictures of Mary, and she's almost veiled. So it's like this is the hidden one. It's something hidden within, and there's always something hidden within all of us. And Batin, as he described it, the universe of light, just out there.
That's Zahir.
That's Zahir.
Right.
Sorry, Zahir. So I always used to think of it like a five-pointed star, a radiant star. That's the Zahir, the manifest. It's like, it's just out there. So, and I'm sure you experience this at various times throughout your life, that you just want to shine, just have everything. And times when you just want to go inward, that hidden place within. So we'll just do the practice out loud before we do it on the breath. Ya Batin, Ya Zahir, 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 Ya Zahir, Ya Batin, 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 Ya Zahir. Just stay silent for a moment and stay present to how you feel. Your body, your mind, your heart, your connection to God. All right, so share a bit of how you felt with this, what was going on, if anything, or not.
I feel like it was very exciting and it increased the light in the room.
Okay.
I had a reminder that because I had this moment of, because I don't want everyone looking at me, like I don't want to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had a reminder that it's not, the radiant isn't me, you know, it's, so then that was okay.
You picked an interesting profession of not wanting to be seen.
Well, that's one part of it, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How does that?
I meant now.
Oh, now. Okay.
I need, in order to do what I do, I need a lot of unseen time.
Ah, okay.
But the realization was that the Zahir isn't necessarily, it isn't me being exposed to the world. It's the light.
Mm-hmm.
It's the divine.
Yeah.
So then it's like,
When
oh,
we
okay,
say
that's pretty cool.
Ya, you're saying it's O. So actually what you're doing is it's an invocation. So as Ms. Sauer said, you can think of each as an archangel. So in this essence, you're invoking that being or that aspect of God. And so it's also within you, but it's an invocation. It is a prayer, you know. So you can think of it that way if that's helpful. Does anyone else? Okay. just like to ask anyone who's not spoken yet. So they want to say anything. The arrow.
I know, right? The spotlight. Yeah. I'm not. There's so much that I wouldn't even begin to.
Okay.
You know.
Sorry to put you on the spot
I am put
here.
on the spot. That's okay.
Okay. Okay, let's do it on the thicker, which means on the breath. So we'll start with the inhalation, batin. When you drop the ya, you just think batin on the inhalation and zahir on the exhalation. And see.
In the nose and out the nose.
Yeah, in the nose and out the nose. Correct. Sorry. So if you think of you're doing the earth breath, it's like you're actually connected to the earth, to the planet here. So you're in the here and now, you know. Okay, so just begin again. And just sit with it now, not repeating it at all, just sitting with it and see if there's anything that comes up for you or any emotion that you're feeling, and what it is you're present to. So, the floor is yours. I'm just going to go around. Ta-boom!
Today is very different than what I usually do.
Okay.
Right now, I'm feeling pulled within and feeling chilled to the bone. I'm feeling extremely cold. I had this heaviness of sadness from the last pairing that we did. So it's distressing. I'm going through distress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
It's like, this is important
Yeah,
that we
it's not always
acknowledge.
light and
No,
and
no.
Big bunny rabbits and fluffy white clouds.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
uno momento. Attention. I know it's internal, but tilt of the bone sounds physical to me.
There was some.
revealed to me at some point in the first practice. I was able to finally, in a new way, break free from my physicality and experience multiple layers of my being, and allow that one to be greater, almost to the point of dissolving this. And then the second practice was kind of the distress of the awareness that I don't know that I can physically handle my being. And I think that's something that I've been sensing subtly, and therefore one of the resolutions as we experienced going to yoga and physically trying to now, because I've been doing this work for long enough that it's revealed these things. It's like it's time to get in physical shape enough to make sure that's in balance now too. So a great deal of physical stress, trying to be the container of all of this. So
Okay. Justine?
It makes me realize how skittish I am. I'm very squirrely. I would say like anxious, but it's more panicky than anxious, in a general sense. And that's what it really brought up was, this feeling of recognizing how skittish I am. I also feel myself pushing against myself. I don't know how to really put that into words, other than I do have a sense of...
Notice everyone's nodding that they understand.
Oh, good.
Exactly.
Excellent. Like that intangible pushing against the inside of my skin. And I, for the first time in a very long time, feel like I'm in the right place. Like this is where I needed to be today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
I felt a huge white cloud of confusion. What? That's more than I felt. I saw. It was very bright, but it was confusion.
And is that okay with you?
I'm not sure it was all about me at all. It was like a universe, not about. It wasn't so. I mean, it was inside me, but it wasn't necessarily. Wait a second. It was like that river of Wahabo. The whole thing all mixed up together.
Okay.
And, when you're in the river, you don't just get out. That's what it felt like. If I tried to get out, that would make me feel panicky. So I just ride the river. I don't think I was struggling.
Sarah?
Just very peaceful, and just a sense that what I said earlier about not wanting to be seen. That's like the small ego. So it's probably the part of me that led me to do what I do professionally. The ego part of wanting to be seen. So that maybe is finally going away.
Maybe it's not the small ego.
And being replaced by
Yeah.
this greater sense.
Cool.
Good.
You know what it always reminds me of?
I'm afraid to ask.
I'm just thinking of the many times you go to a retreat with Piravalaya, and the first day everybody sits there with their expectations of what they're going to experience and wondering, and then on the second day, inevitably it would rain. Every time. All of that energy of, oh my God, what am I doing? Can I do this? This is just horrible, or this is pretty good and I really love it. And whatever it is going on with people, because they begin to start to really activate those aspects of your being that normally you keep hidden. Right? You're filtered from dealing with them as you deal, because you have to deal with your worldly stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But then you take out this time to actually begin to work internally. And it can be pretty difficult. And then it rains. It wouldn't surprise me if it started raining. Well, maybe we need more people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
But
well, I would like to point out something else too. That if you notice that even with the past, all the Wasikas that we did, there was kind of an agreement between us about what was happening with everyone. Some, it was had a scope to it, of course. But as we do practices together like this, we're also tuning into each other. So it's like you're not an island all alone. It's like if the energy is reflected one to the other. So if one person is, something is coming up for them and they feel it very strongly, everybody is going to be awakened and everybody else too. So right?
and then it rains.
That's the rain. That's the rain. But yeah, exactly. And it cleared the air,
Yeah.
did it not?
It did.
Yeah.
She and I complained to Pierre Light about that once. She said, "You got to stop doing that." And he said, "Oh, I'm not in control of this."
And then we
You know
got
what,
out.
my-
We got us out of the car.
Right.
From
I remember
driving
that we were
up the
complaining.
hill, and it started to rain. The umbrella.
For
Right?
me, I would want to run. I would sit there feeling very small and very inexperienced, and all of those big teachers in the tent, and I would want to run, and I didn't belong there. And then the next day it would rain, and I would feel like, oh, you can't run now, or you get wet. And then I would get comforted by the sound of the rain on the tent. And it would be all right to stay. I would forget the feeling of needing to run.
Yeah,
So,
because the universe expresses its compassion, I suppose, with the rain.
Yeah.
It didn't happen in California when they were out
oh,
No?
there.
well,
No, it didn't rain the second day. It was sunny the second day.
Rats.
You got to achieve that at the abode.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in the San Francisco area, it only rains in like December and January.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of subject to the whims of the
yeah.
weather
Yeah.
patterns as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it also, the other thing I want to point out is as you do these practices, or as you are on any spiritual path, in fact, you begin to open. And as you begin to open, you become more vulnerable. And it hurts sometimes. It just hurts. So you kind of have to accept that or get used to it, because it's like this compassion is also flowing outward. So because you become open, you're more connected one to the other. You become more human. It's like hello. So it's like you kind of have to acknowledge that. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, I totally agree.
Okay.
Imagine what it's like for us.
Yeah.
Think
So-
about that. And
But-
I used to
but
think
it
if it's
also
like if it's that way
balances
for
out.
me, what's it like for Pierre Lion? And
Yeah.
then I found out something. You know why we wear all this stuff around our neck?
It's protection.
Yeah, this is protection. The turquoise is protection. The carnelian is to absorb anger.
Mine is more inspiration. Lapis.
Mm-hmm.
But it also brings you to the point of what some of you experience is state of balance. It's like, oh, I feel balanced for the first time. It's like when I like this. It makes me feel balanced. So just remember that. It's like, because that's one of the blessings of their work is to feel that balance, and just the astounding idea that it happens with every breath. That's just that's like a mallet on the head or something. It's like this, that every breath is like has that aspect of perfect balance. It's like, but sometimes you just need to stay home for the weekend or something and not talk to anybody, or just get out there. It's like it's what brings balance into the life. Okay. So
I was thinking that the thing that made that cloud of confusion all right is that I did not lose my balance.
very nice, very nice. So that you can be balanced even within the state of confusion.
That's a good theme for a novel.
that what you were just talking about the soup of us in this room all together, is that's what makes it safe to do practices that we should not do alone.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
We're all like feeding and draining each other, whatever
Or
whatever
supporting each
the
other in a
others.
sense.
That's the better word.
Yeah.
That sounds a little vampire.
You been watching those movies again?
No, I think but you can't help it, in the soup of humanity. So
When did you
all-
want Sarah or
You ready, or you want to
No,
wait?
wait.
Okay. Sarah, you want to introduce your, or would you like to wait?
I can do it now if you want.
okay?
Okay. So one of my favorite practices is Yagami Yamuhi. And I also think it's really appropriate, it's like the new year, and we think about what's going to come in the new year, and we hope for prosperity and health and happiness.
And a date.
Okay. I hope that manifests. So,
You realize people around the world are going to hear this.
all sentient beings doing similar practice at this time now know. So maybe they'll send someone for you.
I only ask for one.
So, and this was given to me in a retreat, and it was really profound. I remember how profound it felt. That Ghani is this sense of self-sufficiency. This sense, and for me, that's the acknowledgement of the bounty of the universe, and being able to let go of a struggle with neediness, or am I going to have enough? That's what was for me at that time. And then Mugni is divine bounty, and so I won't say any more because I want you to have your own experience. Oh, thank you. So it's Yagani, and it's Thani. Is that right? And Yamugni, which is Mugni.
H-N-I.
H-N-I.
So both of them are said with a kind of a,
Yagani, Yamugni.
yeah.
Okay. So. Yagani, Yamugni. 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 Yagani, Yamugni.
So you inhale Khani and exhale Mugni.
see what is. Anyone want to share a comment or question?
I felt that as a blessing. I'm just really blessed. You know, it's like, oh, I can go ahead with confidence, you know, and faith. It's like, oh, okay.
I think I did too, but in the like 2/3 in, I felt like crying, and I think that was resistance to the blessing.
You know, ordinarily I give this practice to someone who's in some kind of economic distress. And I hadn't thought about it the way you explained it. That's a new dimension that I hadn't really thought about. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this whole idea of pushing through your own resistances. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, gives me a new reason to give it to people.
I think that
I remember when you said you liked it, and I was surprised.
Oh,
Really?
it leaves me feeling just buoyant. Like
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay,
Wow.
regardless of what happens out there.
Cool.
I think the crying part was a habitual self-pity.
Yeah. Yeah, part of me went, but what about this? And I went,
Anyone else? Okay.
All right. We're going to wrap it up. This part, anyway. There's more to go. Practically every aspect of our being is a continuity in change. You can't say, this is going to be a surprise, you can't say, my body is transient but my soul is eternal. That is the old-fashioned way of thinking. The body is a continuity of change. There are the same cells. The cells change, but the arms remain the same. For example, you say the same river, and yet it is never the same water. So there is a continuity and change of the body. There is a reconciliation of transiency and permanence. Okay? The same thing is true of our character, our personality. They are not the same as when we were 3 years old, and yet we say that we are the same personality, so it is continuity in change. The same thing is true of our consciousness. The use of tandem wazifas is helpful in promoting a balanced state by developing the qualities which are in contrast to one another. Our strong qualities will go stronger with the use of wazifas on a daily basis, and so will our weak qualities be strengthened. Constant repetition will effect a change over a period of time. In the beginning, practice the wazifas out loud so that the sound is able to permeate your being. As you become familiar, say them on a breath, the fikr. When they are part of your being, need only think them. Now I just want to say something further about that. What I've noticed, certainly in myself and in pretty much everybody I guide, is that I'll give them a practice, whatever it may be. In the first week or so, it's exciting. I got this new practice. I get to really work on it. And then the next week, it's okay, it's starting to become rote. and I'm familiar with it, and I'll just keep doing it because it's been assigned to me, and I'm supposed to. And then the next week it's, okay, so I'll say this one again. You know, it goes through this cycle. You ever had that experience?
Yeah.
You know, right? Everybody hears that. And the way to think about that is that's just your personality kicking up a fuss. Okay, because the Wazayif is actually initiating the change in your being. And your personality, I don't want to change. What are you doing to me? This is, no, don't do that to me. I'm perfectly happy with whoever I am. And it can be totally debilitating, but the personality is perfectly happy with the debilitation. Because that's what it understands. That's normal. You know, it's like self-pity. It's normal, right? You're aware of it. You're conscious of it. You focus on it. You monitor it. Nevertheless, there it is. So as we do these practices and they actually begin to have an effect on your being, notice that the continuation of the practice is what enables your being to actually participate in the transformation that you have initiated through your efforts, through your desire, through your experiences, through your joy or your, whatever it is that's motivating you, or what you think is motivating you. Allow that to continue to express itself. Okay? Is that helpful? A little bit? Any questions about what I just said, or what do you think?
Yeah.
That was okay?
Yeah, that's perfect.
That was it good? I recorded it, so I can probably transcribe it now and remember what I just said. I once asked Pierre Goliath if he remembered, if he always knew everything he said. He said every time. Yes, he did.
Really?
He always knew. He always knew
Wow.
what he was saying. It never just came. Well, that's not totally true, because I've seen him be surprised. But mostly when he was like giving lectures like this, he would know exactly what was going
With
on.
no notes at all. That's what made me think he wouldn't remember, because it
He
was
did.
so intuitive.
Yeah.
Well, he worked on it.
Oh, he worked on it very hard.
He worked on it.
But he had that kind of brain, probably an eidetic memory. Wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, let's do noon prayers. And then let's what? O thou, who art
With
the
perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the Lord of heaven and earth, open our hearts that we may hear thy voice.
No, wait, that's
Yes,
not
that's the one that's evening.
That's evening. Most gracious Lord, Master, Messiah, and Savior of humanity, we greet thee with all humility. Thou art the first cause and the last effect of the divine light and the spirit of guidance, Alpha and Omega. Thy light is in all forms, thy love in all beings, in a loving mother, in a kind father, in an innocent child, in a helpful friend, in an inspiring teacher. Allow us to recognize thee in all thy holy names and forms, as Rama, as Krishna, as Shiva, as Buddha. Let us know thee as Abraham, as Solomon, as Zarathustra, as Moses, as Jesus, as Mohammed, and in many other names and forms known and unknown to the world. We adore thy past. Thy presence deeply enlightens our being, and we look for thy blessing in the future. O Messenger, Christ, now be the Rasul of God, thou whose heart constantly reaches upward. Thou comest on earth with a message, as a dove from above when Dharma decays, and speakest the word that is put into thy mouth, as the light filleth the crescent moon. May the star of the divine light shining in thy heart be reflected in the hearts of thy devotees. May the message of God reach far and wide, illuminating and making the whole of humanity as one single family in the parenthood of God. Pour upon us thy love and thy light. 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 A torch in the darkness, a staff during my weakness, a rock in the weariness of life. Thou, my Master, makest earth a paradise. Thy thought giveth me unearthly joy. Thy light illuminateth my life's path. Thy words inspire me with divine wisdom. I follow in thy footsteps which lead me to the eternal goal. Comforter of the brokenhearted, supporter of those in need, friend of the lovers of truth. Blessed Master, thou art the prophet of God. Okay, back at it. So we'll go through some more of this Pure Light material. The main accent on the wazifas is for the unfoldment of your being. Wazifa is the staple food of the meditation of the Sufis, together with the zikr. And the reason is that the Sufis attach so much importance to the unfoldment of divine inheritance into the personality. Murshid says that the only thing that will ever help you to fulfill your life is to become conscious of your divine inheritance. He's talking about the divine perfection and limitation. Man being God, divine limitation. God being divine perfection all the time. What's that mean to you? Should I read that again?
Yes, please.
Wazifa is the staple food of the meditation of the Sufis, together with the zikr. And the reason is that the Sufis attach so much importance to the unfoldment of divine inheritance into the personality. Murshid says that the only thing that will ever help you to fulfill your life is to become conscious of your divine inheritance. He's talking about the divine perfection and limitation. Man being God, divine limitation. God being divine perfection all the time. What's that mean to you?
It way brightens up how I've read The Alchemy of Happiness like 4 times, and I like it, but there's always been a missing piece, and I think that you just explained that.
Oh, I didn't know it was Pure Light. I'm just reading.
Yeah. When that part, will you read it again, please?
Wazifa is the staple food of the meditation of the Sufis, together with the zikr. And the reason is that the Sufis attach so much importance to the unfoldment of divine inheritance into the personality.
Stop.
That's the key phrase, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that key? How is that different from other systems? Compare and contrast.
Acceptance. It's acceptance that it's accepted. I'm not going to try to transcend my personality. I'm not being asked to, or there isn't even any doubt. There's no doubt that my personality is part of the package that I am in this manifestation.
Okay. So what does enhancing it mean?
Blooming, like blossoming, like spiritual, like my spiritual work. 1 minute of meditation is worth more than however many when Murshid says that about
Mhm.
one day of work in the world is not worth as much as 1 minute of meditation.
Something like that, yeah.
That work is actually going to show in my personality. I'm not going to transcend it in some way. I'm going to be in it.
Then why would we seek transcendence? What does that mean?
Excuse me?
Why would we seek transcendence?
That's the message I feel like I was raised to.
To seek transcendence.
Mhm.
Even though now you're saying that's not necessary.
I think it's rather hopeless in a way. I mean, as long as I am who I am, I'm going to have my personality.
Let's not confuse definitions. Transcendence is quite necessary
Okay.
in this path, but
But
what
I'm
is it
gonna-
that you're transcending? What are you transcending?
Limitations.
Limitation is always there, as stated.
You're transcending the concept of who you are,
Yeah.
in a sense. So it's like even your faults and your personality is the divine being limited. It's not the total being of God. That's why it's a kind of a what's the word for it when you say I am God?
Blasphemy.
It's a kind of blasphemy to say that because it's not the totality of God, but God and its limitation. So it's like you keep unveiling the limitations, or make the veils thinner, and then you're blossoming. You're what's the word he gives?
Transcending.
No.
Unfolding.
Unfolding
Unfoldment of divine
your personality, divine
Unfoldment of
inheritance.
divine inheritance into the personality.
Yeah, so you have a divine inheritance, yet you're claiming your divine inheritance. It's
Or
like,
how
oh,
about that the divine inheritance exists intrinsically, and what you're really doing is unveiling it to yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, it's already there. That's some of the discomfort that we experience. When your conscience, for instance, when you do something that's
Jerk.
jerkdom. Right.
You asked what makes it different from other, I forget what word you use, practices, disciplines.
Yeah, other systems. Yeah.
I think that that here we acknowledge that it's all there, and in other systems we're being taught to seek it, develop it, train it, find it, take it on.
As if it's an external thing.
thing. Yeah.
Right.
I went to mass with my sister Christmas Eve, and the speaker, who I think was a Monsignor, actually said, all religions around the world seek God. Ours is the only one that he actually came to. I almost imploded.
Started throwing things at him.
That would have been exploded.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think that's a big difference, is that we know it's already there.
Yeah.
Or that's, we
Yeah,
believe it's already
you were taught that it's
taught us
You're
something.
taught that the God is up there and you're down here, you know? It's
right,
like
right,
this.
right. Yeah, another way Pirbalite used to put that was that you'd look out at this group of people sitting there with their grim faces and say, you think that you're a lowly worm. Oh, so small in the sights of the divine vast immensity. But you're really a magnificent being, full of beauty and wonder and joy and all of the potential that was ingrained into your being from the very beginning, from the point at which you took your vow in the, what do you call it? The
Pre-eternity.
pre-eternity. Right. So that's kind of yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I think it was Sharif one time said, even the Buddha said we need to help people become Buddhas. But the reality is that we all already are.
Yeah.
We just don't know it. What we can help each other do is know it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Along with divine honesty.
What do you mean?
Divine honesty. Recognizing your own, the level of your limitation. And being, like we were talking about this morning, that awareness of your jerk factor. But, it's not like it's not like it just appeared suddenly, right? It's just that you're now noticing. Okay? That's important to recognize. I've told you this many times. You do. All of you. At one point or another.
But the other thing that I mean, it's really hard to give up the notion that I can't break that pattern, that there has yet to be the practice that cures me
The
of
key
quick
to
temper.
that is the key to that is to recognize that it gradually becomes less and less important.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And the damage is less and less.
Like in my own case, the thought of apologizing to someone for an outburst was antithetical. I would never do that. And then the very first time I ever did it, it was like the heavens opened up and showered golden rain on me.
Yeah.
Now it's easy. If I can go and apologize. First time I did it, it was really a struggle. This is before I met you.
No, I'm just joking there.
Harumph. Okay, moving right along. Unless someone else has another commentary to that.
I have another question about in that same section of the Alchemy of Happiness. Murshid talks about how we should not tell people that they are God until quite a ways along, because they will further limit God by their personality or their ego.
Remember when he was saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's been a lot of misinformation flowing through the world since that time. That was just the beginning of the outburst of availability in the 1915, 19
Oh, you mean he's talking
1920s.
rather culturally.
Yes.
And
of
now
course.
we're in the seventh ray.
There you go.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, now that information is readily available. Everybody's heard the phrase, you are God. You can't avoid it. If you do any kind of spiritual reading at all, you read Shirley MacLaine, it'll be in there. Right? So, what he was saying then was that the information wasn't available. Now it is.
Yes. It was very radical then.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to recognize the historical period in which he was speaking. Now there is a way of looking at things which is very challenging to our ordinary way of thinking. That is to understand that in fact, what we call a physical universe is just a way that reality appears seen from a certain vantage point. It looks as though, that's going to be challenging to a rationalist, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It looks as though we are dealing with discrete objects, but in fact, behind all that is just a tremendous frequency pattern, a wave interference pattern where everything is everywhere. So that we think this person is here, but in fact, it's only one emerging aspect of that person that is here. In reality, the person is dispersed through the universe and interconnected with every other being. Do I need to read that again? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Read it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there is a way of looking at things which is very challenging to our ordinary way of thinking. That is to understand that, in fact, what we call a physical universe is just a way that reality appears seen from a certain vantage point. It looks as though we are dealing with discrete objects, but in fact, behind all that is just a tremendous frequency pattern, a wave interference pattern where everything is everywhere. So that we think this person is here, but in fact, it's only one emerging aspect of that person that is here. In reality, the person is dispersed throughout the universe and interconnected with every other being. How does that feel?
Disquieting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about being connected to vultures. Or jackals.
I think it's
Or
great.
chickadees.
Chickadees are okay. I like them. Hummingbirds. Although hummingbirds can be aggressive, I just found out in watching the life of birds. They can be quite nasty to one another.
Yeah. I agree with you, Majid. I think it's great too.
Yeah.
It makes
Well,
me feel calm.
Well, when you think
Comforted.
of doing
Yeah.
healing work, and you're sending healing energy over long distance range, you are connected to every other being. So it's like that wave interference pattern of emotion and thought is going out to that person, right? And also to the universe. It boomerangs back to you as well. So it's like it's wonderful. It's exciting to have that.
Okay, so which is it?
What do you mean, which is it?
It's both.
Disquieting or exciting?
I guess
Oh.
it's
The
both.
other side of that is, I think, in those, what I described at lunch, I still get afraid at night. Well, that's the other side of that coin, where it's when it's coming back. It's the violence of it all. It's the hardship of it all. It's the suffering of it all. It's both. Yeah.
Oh, let's just put up a protective shield.
Let's just ignore that one.
It's like, it's like
I did the
still you have
protective
that.
wall.
It's like the divine protection is also there.
You're right.
So you could tune into that.
Okay.
It's like it's in a sense it's
Allah.
what you're putting your attention on, your focus on. So if you're focusing on all the violence about you, and when I watch the news, I'm a news junkie, so I'm quite well aware of that. But so that's what you're attuned to. But if you're attuned to the divine peace and the divine protection and whatever it is, it changes your focus, the focus of what you're sending out on your brain with your brain waves, your thought waves. The thoughts are things. So, and emotions are things in a sense, even though they're not what you are. But and so that's what comes back to you. Yes.
You're asking for my validation?
No.
When,
Never
The
mind.
other piece of that is that every time we do practices, that's radiating out to the world,
Yes.
and that's to me is such a wonderful thing. And in terms of the echo back, there's also the filters of the layers of being. Like your skin filters away pathogens and bacteria. There's layers of your energetic being that filter what comes in. It's all just energy.
Yes. And to think that this is only one aspect of your being, that you come to the realization that you're so much more. It's like oh boy, it's like there's more to me than meets the eye. It's like much more. So it's in a sense it's like inviting. It's like, oh, what more can I open to it, discover, or
Participate in.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I spent 3 years doing retreats in this little hut right on the hill, and being terrified all night, every night. But I was going to master this.
How'd that work out?
Well, I changed guides.
Oh.
And I did one more retreat in that little hut with her guiding me, and you might find this helpful. For one thing, when I first asked her to be my guide, I used to send her these tomes of my life history, and she would write back, "On the inner, dear." You can hear her saying it, can't you? But in this retreat, I started out, of course, I had years of the experience of being terrified, and so that alone, she had me bring it inside over and over and over again. It was this little tiny hut, way smaller than this room, and she just kept on all night long. Just bring it inside, dear. Bring those monsters in. It actually worked.
Yeah.
It was like a 3 or 4 night retreat, and by the morning of the second night, I was no longer afraid. I never slept there. I just kept on saying, "Come on in, come on in." I actually got to the point where I could open the door even.
Wow.
I was so afraid of those monsters out there, but I had the experience of realizing that the monsters were actually me putting myself out instead of. You know, I was putting all my fear out there, and it was just getting eaten up by those monsters, and I couldn't get better until I brought it back inside.
Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it really
That's-
worked.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like in the Dante's Inferno. It's like you have to go through the depths of hell, right through that demon, to come out the other side. So, and that's what he did,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then, you know, opened up into the going to paradise, you know, so.
You know, my son's name is Virgil.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
I had
Wonderful.
just read Dante's Inferno, but Virgil doesn't go through the fire. He's that's as far as he can go, isn't it?
No, he goes through. He goes through. It's called the Divine Comedy.
I think.
He's the whole show. Okay.
Yeah, he goes through, and Beatrice can only guide him up so far. It's like
Like Barkov.
she's the guide. She can only go so far, and then he has to ascend. It's like further.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Musuri once said to me, become bigger.
Yeah.
When I was feeling really sensitive to violence and poverty around
Oh,
me,
right.
you
That
said,
was a while ago.
it was a while ago, you said, become bigger.
Oh, I guess I'm smart. Good to know.
Increase your capacity.
From time to time. Yeah, that's actually advice that I give to about everybody in that respect is to remember that you are much larger than you see yourself to be.
That's why it's like when you think of yourself as connected to all beings, and
It's pretty big.
that's pretty big. But all levels of heaven, all expansion of the universe, that's pretty big. That gives you a lot of space to be,
I once had this idea that that somehow all of that other stuff was in some way external to us, but we were connected to it in some fashion that I didn't understand. So I asked people, well, is it like you're on one side of a sheet of paper and there's a little hole in the paper and you can kind of access stuff through that hole? And he said, no, that's totally wrong. What it is that it's all here all the time. And it's just our awareness of it that is limited, which is what Mershid says too, which I later discovered in the Sufi teachings, I think.
The soul whence and whether.
No, is that where it is?
I
Maybe.
think so.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
Mostly only of Mershid's writings.
And so we could say that matter emerges out of pure vibration. I know that in science this is a whole question because originally one assumed that vibration is the vibration of something, the vibration of air or water or what have you. Now the scientific view is that vibration is vibration of energy. It's the oscillation of energy, and energy is transported throughout the universe by vibration. What we're doing in the wazifa is that we're working with the universal vibration. So we're really getting to the source of all things. We're touching on a great secret. It brings us in contact with the language of the mind of God. We say the world of vibration is the language, and that language is translating thoughts. You could say those thoughts are the divine intention behind the whole universe, and that language is continually being spoken. It's what the Sufis call the secret language of the universe. Those who have ears begin to distinguish a meaning in that music, which you could call the symphony of the spheres. So the point of the wazifa is to become sensitive to that language and adjust ourselves to the feedback. Okay, how's that feel?
What does he mean by feedback?
How you feel when you sit in the Thikr sphere.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like that's kind of like the feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
When you
Remember,
get into
like-
the emotion of it, it's like, oh, yeah.
When you have that experience of the being, there's going to be, some resonance back to you, isn't there?
Mhm.
You know, you're experiencing the being then experiences you. Right?
On a very basic level, this is what, like in all of the accounts of people writing about their experiences with Murshid, they talk about how sometimes, I think he was probably like the same size as Pirzia, huh?
He's a little guy, yeah.
And many people had different experiences of him being very large.
Yeah.
This is like,
Well, you probably experienced that at Pure Life.
yeah,
Even though he was like
right.
5'4" or something.
Yeah, I never thought he was little.
No, that's right. See, he was. I mean, if you saw him standing next to me, you could say, "Okay,
I
he's a short
did
guy."
see him. I did.
Yeah,
I never saw that difference.
isn't that interesting?
I watched you two walk into a building together.
Yeah.
I don't remember him being shorter than you.
He is quite a bit.
But it's that principle that he
Yeah.
understood, that vibrational.
Yeah. What were you seeing?
I was seeing a spiritual being
Yeah.
enlarging him.
Yeah. So imagine that the mind of God is truly a vibratory expression of intent. Okay? Does that make sense? Mind implies some kind of singular identity. Whereas God, by the definitions that we're reading here, is not a singular entity, but is a vast collection of many, many entities. Right? And that's
in the multiplicity,
yeah, in the multiplicity. That's
but in the unity.
that's wahid. Wahid is the multiplicity, whereas ahad is the singularity. The unity and multiplicity. No, multiplicity and unity is ahad, and wahid is multiplicity and unity. No, it's
No, it's the other way around.
The other way around. All right. Okay.
It's like in chapter 11 of the Gita, where Krishna agrees to show him where, Arjuna is begging to see the person of God. And Krishna says, all right, I'll show you one aspect. And you don't find out till the end of the chapter that huge monster with people hanging from his teeth and is only time.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing he's shown is time.
Oh, I don't remember that. Yeah, wow. I have to reread it.
Just that chapter's enough.
We generally start by saying, well, you produce sound and then you listen to the echo. But in a study of the meaningfulness of the wazifa, we have to do the opposite. We have to understand that the objective is to become a very fine receptor of the language of God, the symphony of the spheres. What we're doing is simply to produce sound ourselves that is in some way connected with the sound we're about to receive, so as to get things happening, to get things moving. This follows the law. A moving object is more sensitive to an impact than a still object. Okay? Basic physics. So a moving object is much more likely to rebound in an acute way than a still object will. So if you are starting to produce sound and you're vibrating, then you are more sensitive to the input of vibrations from the universe than if you're in a static state. This is the condition in which to become very vibrant, very sensitive to the harmony of the universe. Okay, what does that suggest to you? Can I make a suggestion? When you are using one of these practices, whatever it may be, do you feel as large as the practice? Do you feel smaller than the practice? Do you feel larger than the practice? Is it just a repetition of words? Is it something that is actually being activated in your being? I mean, what are you feeling honestly? Right? Rather than pretending that it's some vast thing. What are you honestly feeling? You know? And then compare it to what Prabhupada is saying. Not in any way of saying, "Oh my God, I blew it all these years," but more like, okay, now I can add this to my toolbox, so to speak. Okay. So what he's saying is that the vastness of the being, the archangel of the practice, whatever it may be, the Wazif, the archangel of truth, the archangel of love, the archangel of vengeance. There's one of those in there. We don't talk about those. The bad Wazif, for polite used to call them. The archangel of protection and trust, and so on. They're infinite. Each one of them is the whole universe. Not a section, but the whole thing. Yes, ma'am.
Am I a student or what? When 9/11 happened, I had always felt fond of Allahu Akbar, but I took it up. I don't think I've ever. I took it up as a personal. I took up saying it a lot and trying to breathe it all the time as a counterbalance to what I understood to be the battle cry that it's also used as. So is there a well, of course there is, but that one is so glaring. It's in this modern time, that's the battle cry that the fundamentalists use.
Yes.
But it's also
Think about onward Christian
It is the
soldiers. Same thing.
yeah.
Marching as to war with the cross of Jesus going on before. Can you imagine? Think about that.
Yeah.
This is what people sing.
Mhm.
You think Jesus approved of that?
So
At the Crusades.
what is it? What was that? Just a funny idea of mine?
No, it's a perfect
No.
idea. You are accessing that archangel in a much more meaningful way than those who cry it out as a battle cry. Because they are using it as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they're using
But
it.
it doesn't work.
No.
Well, I think it's just like when you shout anything that gives you energy. Yeah, exactly. It gives you a lot of energy. So that's what they're doing. Encouraged to run across the street. It's like amid enemy fire or whatever. But it's like, it's a battle cry that gives you that thrust to go into, defense mode or, courage, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But it means God is great. So, what does great mean?
Well, the ram's horns were used to bring down the walls of Jericho, but they were also used to call people to prayer.
Oh,
Assuming that metaphor actually happened.
but that's all right.
It was probably an earthquake.
No, it was not.
Poo
It
poo.
was it didn't. I mean, they used it as a battle cry, and then they tore down the walls. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So you don't think that the vibrational frequencies were so great?
No, I think they probably did it stone by stone.
Yeah.
There are a lot of earthquakes in that region.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting
Yeah.
that we have to
Good coincidence.
describe that incident in a way that our minds can wrap around science? And we can't say the vibrational frequency of those horns with their belief behind it brought those walls down.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I don't either.
I do.
Okay. 2 against 2.
Well, it's the opera singer singing such a high pitch and the chandelier smashes to pieces.
Yeah, but that
yeah.
doesn't happen either.
Didn't they
Okay.
do that on Ed Sullivan?
Oh, glass. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Okay, the Wazifas have developed ad hoc in the course of time from a kind of traditional knowledge of the unconscious. It developed that way and it produces results. I did try to systematize it a little bit. For example, I placed the ah in the heart center, the u or the u in the throat center, the e in the third eye, n above the head, in the solar plexus. Those are all sounds from the words. Well, it's a system, and it's good to have systems, but I don't want to lock you into systems. In my latest research with the Wazaif, I find that one can place an U in the crown center and even in the heart center. You can even place the Ah higher up in the third eye. But these are further refinements, so I think it's good to start with the system, and then once you do that, go into the refinements. That was just a throat clearing. It wasn't asking for attention.
No, it was a clearing.
Okay. So one starts the wazifa by controlling the sound, knowing how to place the sound in the different centers. That means that you get the centers to vibrate. These are general plexi of the autonomic nervous system. One is literally bombarding the flesh of that very subtle center, like the cardioplexus, with vibration. And what happens when you apply the sound upon your very flesh? In order to move your arm, for example, what is it that operates the junction between mind and body? How is it that a decision in your mind can translate itself in terms of a muscular motion? It means the flesh is stirred by the action of the mind. Where is the connection? The connection is in vibration. What happens is that the influence of thought upon the cells of the nervous system, the molecules of the cells in the nervous system will get the molecules into resonance. Consequently, they align themselves just like the molecules in a crystal. So there's a trauma, let's say a tropic change taking place in the cells of the body by the action of the mind. We can get an example of that very easily. For instance, with Azim. Azim is, what is it, the highest?
It's a kind of glorification. No, Ali is the highest. Azim is it's an expression of the same thing but outward.
Right. Okay. So Azim, Ya Azim. So as you're going to say Ya Azim, you pitch the A, the E, the E sound very high, and place the vibration in your third eye, in the pineal gland. Okay, and just watch what happens. So just Yazim, 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 Yazim. How does that feel? You feel a change in vibration in your whole body? Right? Everything changes, right? What happens? You say something like, Azim.
My heart started moving faster. I can feel it. I guess it's just stimulating many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it throughout all my chakras. It's like the whole chakra system suddenly woke up.
Okay. What'd you feel? First time you ever done it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did. It's I associate sound so much with an external sensation that it is strange to experience it, like literally behind my skin, like internally. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
It used to hurt. It doesn't anymore, but
Used to hurt?
it used to be a practice that I had when it was one of my first practices, and it hurt. It would give me headaches.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can see what he's talking about, and that's just one practice. They all have that effect, in various places in various ways. But ultimately, they all have a what's the word I want? No, I'm looking for complete, but a synonym on an effect on your complete body.
Holistic.
Thank you. They have a holistic effect. So I hope you're understanding what these practices do is enhanced by this day of working on these things.
So Azim is like a glorification. It's like, as opposed to Ali.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you feel glorified? What does the vibration do to you?
I would like to keep doing it. I'd like to do it longer. That's how, yeah, like I felt like I wanted to, really stay in that place.
Okay. Okay, so there you see the clue to the ascendancy of mind over matter. In getting matter into vibration, into resonancy, into harmonic resonance, because it's always resonating. And the art is to get matter's vibration into harmonic relationship. This is the goal of the wazifa, which results in helping a person to unfold and to grow spiritually.
Hey, love, harmony, beauty.
Just vibrate more. Okay, let us apply this principle of sound to two sets of tandem wazifas. Okay? The wazifas are Yahoo on the inhalation and Yahak on the exhalation. Inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. So we're back to that's the element of fire. So just try that for a little while and see what happens. As you inhale, think Hu, and as you exhale, think Hak. Hu is...
Can we do it out loud first?
Do it out loud a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to explain so Justine knows. Hu is like the Sufi word for... In Arabic, it just means he or him. But for Sufis, use it to define the presence of God within all things. Hu. And then Hak is the truth. The ultimate truth, which cannot be spoken. Okay? So... Yahoo, Yahak, 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 Yahoo. Seer, just sit in contemplation. And see what you feel. Okay. How was that? Here's some more about this practice. You use a soft, wind-like breath, not a noisy one, and beware of the divine presence that makes one strong in truth. Be aware of the divine presence in your inner tabernacle and in the awe of the Holy of Holies. This is, remember, breathing in the mouth and out the nose. As you visualize the color of the flame transmuting fire into the light of your being, from infrared in the bottom chakra to gold in the solar plexus to green in the throat to blue in the third eye, ultraviolet that fans into white light in the crown, you will feel flashes throughout your body which will move from hot to cool as you ascend to the coolness of the blue. It's important when one is healing to know how to switch over from hot energy to cool energy. You may want to try this with someone. Place your hand over onto their arm and send hot energy into their being while you breathe in. Concentrate on being pure spirit. As you breathe out again, send very cool magnetism into that person. Without telling the person what you are doing, ask that person, how do you feel now? If you're doing it right, that person should answer, very cool. On the exhalation, well, you have the paper so you can practice this later if you want to. On the exhalation, say, Hak, O truth. The soul, in its journey, reaches a plane where it exclaims, I am the truth. Hak is the truth in its absolute reality beyond the facts that may manifest in existence. It represents what happens to truth in existence as life energies. When a being becomes truth, he reads into the hearts of all beings like an open book. Hak brings about a baptism of fire, courage, unswerving authenticity from the heart. There is an extraordinary energy that comes into you when you dedicate yourself to truth. It cleanses any ambiguity or diplomacy or manipulative deluding that one might be doing without realizing that one is doing it. So we get again? That's good, huh? Hak brings about a baptism of fire, courage, unswerving authenticity from the heart. There is an extraordinary energy that comes into you when you dedicate yourself to truth. It cleanses any ambiguity or diplomacy or manipulative deluding that one might be doing without realizing one is doing it. Makes one very upfront and strong. It takes courage to own up. One loses face, but that is what truth means. Never mind if one loses the whole world, if one has become truthful. This is a very powerful form of purification. Now notice he's not saying the truth of someone else, just the truth of yourself. All right? In other words, someone that says, I tell the truth no matter who it hurts, has no clue what they're saying. It's not the way to do it. Okay? Any commentary on that? Everyone looks so grim and thoughtful.
It's very empowering. Practice is very empowering.
Yeah.
Because at the same time as being empowered, you also have that connection to the divine presence. It's like,
Okay. Any other commentary?
I found it a bit overwhelming.
Really? You've done this practice before?
I don't think I ever paid attention to what I was doing though.
Uh-huh.
Like, whoa, really? Who on the in-breath?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ordinarily you say it on the out-breath, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I doubted myself. My capacity to manage it on the in-breath.
You did it.
And I saw a huge snow landscape.
I did too.
Did you?
The land of snow and ice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sixth plane.
What?
That's the sixth plane. Land of ice and snow. Hahut. No, Lahut.
Oh.
love,
Land of ice and snow. Okay, cool. That's a good thing. It's overwhelming though, as you say. Of course it's overwhelming because you're coming from your limited point of view, thinking this is all who I am, and look at who I am. I actually can access this amazing, transcendent experience just sitting here in my little comfy chair. Comfy chair, isn't it?
It is because, and then I think between the comfy chair and feeling so quickly overwhelmed and seeing that huge vista, I wanted to go straight to sleep.
Okay.
did you want to?
You want to?
No. Thanks.
Okay. Do you have any statements to make, Madam Malika?
It's interesting because years ago in mid-90s, I was visiting a friend in Massachusetts, and I had the same experience just now that I had then. Very surreal, and definitely the land of ice and snow. And I remembered all of you, and I remember the conversation, the spiritual conversation that just occurred between us, being with me at a moment of terror during that experience, of feeling completely alone except for this. So thank you, and my gratitude to everyone for being there. And I just realized, and it was with somebody I thought was my best friend at the time, but having you present then and now, I'm just grateful. It was real protection. A great.
If this was a Julie Andrews movie, we'd now break into song.
We should. We should do it anyway.
Okay.
I have to go get
Isn't
my
that
frog.
wonderful?
It is.
That's a genuine deja vu.
I left it
Yeah.
upstairs.
That's the real thing.
That was the real thing.
Cool. Yeah, wonderful. Justine, getting more comfortable with making statements?
Yes.
A little bit?
Yes.
Good.
I keep going back to the words expansion and exhilaration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes a bit of getting used to this stuff. Actually, it takes a lot of getting used to it. Candace has been at it for 20 years
Yeah.
and still isn't used to it. I still get, blown away from time to time. It's just part of the deal.
I'm wondering if I locked my keys in the car.
Do you want to check now so you
Yeah.
don't feel all anxious for the next half an hour or whatever?
I didn't.
Oh, good. Okay, would you like to take a little short little break? Do we need one right now? Or can we wait a half an hour?
What time is it now?
22?
22 what?
23?
I think we just need to giggle.
Yeah,
That's all
let's
I
have
anyway.
let's have a 10-minute break.
10-minute break?
Yeah, bathroom break.
Okay, little
Okay.
quick bathroom break?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's just settle in here and just follow your breath for a little while. Turn inward. Okay, stay present to how you feel physically. Just be aware of your body. And your mind. Is it running away? Is it thinking of this or that? It's like, let the thoughts just go and turn it inward. And be present to and pay attention to your, not only your breath, but your emotional state. Your divine connection. Right. The wazifas for the baptism of air are, and by the way, they could be different ones as well, but for now, they're this. Yakudus sounds like could ooze, with the first part of the word cut short and the ooze elongated on the u, like the French sound u said on the inhalation through the mouth. Eliminate ya when done on the breath. The vibration of kudus should be felt in the throat when said aloud. Yahai sounds like hi, said on the exhalation out the mouth. Now, Kudus stands for the Holy Spirit, the source of life, and the concentration is on the immaculate state, purity, the waters of life. Excuse me. So that land of ice and snow is what that immaculate state is about. Hazrat Nayakhan says, there is a stage at which, by touching a particular phase of existence, one feels raised above the limitations of life, and given that power and peace and freedom, that light and life which belongs to the source of all beings. In other words, in that moment of supreme exaltation, one is not only united with the source of all beings, but dissolved in it. For the source is oneself. Okay. Now, Kudus acts as a catalyst, like lightning. The Virgin Mary is a suggested archetype for this wazifa. When saying hi, it is like blowing the breath on the pure spirit into the life force. Hi works as a catalyst, whipping up qualities existing as the life force into great intensity. Exhale on the breath as a swirling entity or whirlpool of life. You are that whirlpool. Communicate life wherever you go. This is the energy that proliferates in nature, for example, the orbits of the planets and the atoms. So we're going to do it out loud for a little while first. And I'll do it, and Sarah and I will do it together for just a little while, and then you can join in, okay? Or if this is your practice and you've done it a lot, just you can join us, okay? Yakudus, Yahai. 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 Amen. You could also do the high slightly differently. You could do it like this. Ya Caduce, Ya Hi, with the sound in the third eye. Normally it's not done that way, but it's possible to do it that way. Okay. But we'll go back to Caduce high with the strong high on the.
Now, did you hear how I kind of swallow the Q?
It's swallowed. Yeah.
It's a little takes a little bit of practice to get it, but that's how you say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll do it not quite as loud as I've been doing it, but a little softer.
Maybe internal.
Ya Caduce, Ya Hi. 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 Amen. So just stay with it for a minute and see how you feel. How does it make you feel? Now do Caduce high, Caduce on the inhalation and high on the exhalation. We won't do it long.
In and out the mouth.
I'm sorry, in and out the mouth. You're correct. Okay, now just be quiet for a minute and just be present to how you feel. Contemplate it. How does it affect your being? Amen. So, how's that? hard to put into words. It is.
Well, I'm still in the land of ice and snow, and that thing's added wind. It's like, wonderful. That felt very natural, more natural than the other. To breathe in and out, to breathe in and produce and breathe out. High, it grounded me, and that Wazifa I was trying to remember is Hafiz.
Hafiz.
See how grounded I became?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember it before.
Anybody else?
It made me realize I'm out of practice. And then the other part, the breathing, was very natural. It was like when you watch the ocean lapping, you know, it just really rolls in and rolls back out naturally. So
Gives a rhythm.
yeah, it really does. It was uncomfortable at first. That vocalizing it made me realize how far I've gotten out of practice since my retreat. So
Don't judge yourself.
I'm
please.
trying not to judge it, but it's uncomfortable.
You know.
You've been a bad girl.
Maybe. Maybe just a little judgmental.
Maybe you didn't want to tear your whole life down in one fell swoop.
I haven't been gentle
Mhm.
on the world.
Yeah.
And now, what was the distinction between doing the practice with your hop and now with your high? There's a subtle difference. You pick up on that or not? The earlier practice was your hop, meaning truth, and your high, it's like life. So there's a different sense to it.
You can do them together too.
Your high, your up, yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thing to do when you feel, this is actually just a general practice, anybody can do it. When you feel debilitated or drained or you have a sense of despondency or anything like that. Driving in your car and you just wish that there was some way that you could avoid this trip that you have to make and you don't want to see that person and on and on and on and on, right? Like that. And what you do is you hi, you hut, you hi, you hut, you hi, you hut, you hi, you hut, you hi, you hut.
You better be at a stoplight.
Like that, okay?
Yeah, let's stand and I'll show you the little walk or dance. Okay, doing the same thing. Now it goes like this. So we go in a circle this way, so your face, that way, going. So you just, and we're going to be walking doing this, but I'm going to show it to you. So it's ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck. It's a whoa.
Okay, don't hit anybody. Here we go.
Okay. Ya-hi, ya-huck. Step. Ya-hi, ya-huck. What's more? Ya-hi, ya-huck. Ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck, ya-hi, ya-huck.
Okay?
Okay. So, now.
How'd that feel? You feel energized now? Yeah. See how quick that is? That quick.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I always forget that.
You can. Once you know how, you can switch your emotions, and it's a matter of application, doing what you know how to do. And the interesting thing is that when you get to the point where you know what to do, oftentimes you forget that you know what to do.
Yeah.
And you sit there and wallow in whatever it is, and then you have these skills and techniques and talents, and you should, oh yeah, I can do that, and you can.
Okay.
That quick. Okay. Are you floating back into feeling sorry for yourself again?
No.
Okay.
I'm just laughing at myself.
Okay, good.
Okay. Perhaps the clue to the wazifa is that all qualities have their realities and beings. We have a tendency to think of archetypes like qualities as existing on their own, but they exist in beings. Ultimately, of course, there's only one being, and so the key to understanding the whole contemplation of using the wazifas is to be found in the text of Al-Halaj, where he says that every time God contemplates a quality, it is manifested into existence. It is existentiated into a being. And that's why I was talking about the angels, the archangels. Okay? And you could say that all beings are the divine qualities manifested so that they become knowable objects of knowledge. So in the wazifa, you are continuing the action of God contemplating himself. Okay? You want to take over?
Yeah, that reminds me of something that Murshid says somewhere, that all I can't remember, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact words. Basically, it says all inappropriate activity is caused by an entanglement in the breath of God. The breath of God manifesting an attribute. And then it gets tangled up by the time it comes into physical manifestation.
Is that the source of evil?
What we call evil, yes. Exactly.
Can you say
So that's something that happens that is obviously, like this recent event in Connecticut, for instance. That's an entanglement. So what we're doing, don't take this too seriously because I don't want you to feel like you're ultimately responsible, but in a way you are. What we are doing is we are untangling. Every time that you personally discover something in yourself that is beautiful, where you find yourself expanding, where your being begins to glow, or any of those various ways of describing an expression of divine awareness, right? You are detangling the breath of God. Okay?
In the beginning was chaos, and God moved over the force of chaos, the form of chaos,
Yeah.
and created.
Yeah. Created order or something like that.
That whole story reminds me of a story I read, a Sufi. Actually, it was an actual event, but a Sufi sheikh had a murid who was mentally disturbed. She was having a breakdown. I mean, she was just not in touch with reality. So he gave her this tangled ball of wool. It was just a total mess. And he had her concentrate on untangling the wool, the yarn.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it was a metaphor for,
I spent my childhood doing that for my mother. Maybe that's why I'm alive.
Do you ever notice that when you knot your shoes now, it's very easy to unknot them? But when you were 10 years old, it was just an impossibility and you had to go find mom?
Not 10 years old,
No.
3 years old.
No.
Some of us
Whatever.
were a bit slower than others.
I was 10.
He is the boy in the room.
Yeah, right. I can't help it.
No fine motor skills at that age.
No. No, I didn't get my fine motor skills till, I don't know, a couple of years ago.
Tightens just to see if I can get them untied.
What are you guys plotting over there?
The untying of knots. I was the kid that the other kids brought their knots to because I was just they would tie knots to see if I could untie them because I was the great knot untier. Yeah.
Nice.
It's the untangling of chains,
Yeah.
jewelry chains.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
worst.
A couple of toothpicks. Snap, snap.
Okay, so does that make sense to you?
Mm-hmm.
That which we experience as the despair of the world is really an entanglement in the breath of God.
I've been thinking on and off lately, like whenever something terrible happens like that in this time that is easier, it's easy for me to call it in the seventh ray when all of this abundance of spiritual information is available, that it also makes people crazy. It makes these people can't handle it, and that's part of how they become what we would like to call monsters, but they're
Overwhelmed.
overwhelmed.
Like future shock.
Do you think?
You think so? What's that tell you about the age that we're living in?
This is the dawning of
And it's entangled.
When the moon is in the seventh house. Yeah?
And it's entangled.
And it's happening
complex.
faster and faster.
But we can know about it more because there's more communication. We have both things going on.
Yeah, go on.
So we have more changes happening more quickly. And as more change happens, people become unsettled. Patterns are being broken. So I'm not quite sure how this all fits together. But it's just, I was hearing about this 30 years ago. People were talking about how it would be the dredging up of the ugliness of the world will be happening in years to come. And I heard that 30 years ago. It's like the dredging up is going to happen. And here we are experiencing a lot of dredging up.
But on the other hand, it is a new spiritual vibration. You're going, don't you? I would think. You know.
Lots of changes.
Yeah.
Let me put it another way. Are you willing to be on the cutting edge of spiritual awareness?
I don't think that
You
there's
agree
a
immediately.
willingness. I'm not sure that, I didn't come here by willingness, in a way. I mean, like, I feel like I just followed this. Well, Pirzia talked about how our spiritual path is a path that we don't actually get off.
No, it
We
can't.
can get off. We can walk in brambles alongside it.
No, actually, you can reverse it.
Do you think so?
I'm sorry to disagree with Pirzia, but you can in fact reverse it.
Well, I'm only taking a whole big article out of
Oh,
one
okay.
little piece of it.
Oh,
But that it's not. It's to me that's how I envision it. That there's plenty of places on this path where I didn't make a choice. I just went forward or stood
That's
still. It's true. It's true, but I didn't know what I was doing. Where am I going? Never mind. Take it all back and let's start again.
Well, it's like everybody's looking for something different. The established traditions are not satisfying as a general population. There are lots of research and articles about that. But for myself, it's just been it's like an urge, an inner urge.
So, my friend Karen in Luxembourg has this friend, maybe she's mentioned him to you, Pagpa, who's a Buddhist monk.
Oh.
And she mentioned to me the other day that she had sent him my book to read. And he read the book and he said, well, that's like a combination of yoga and what else did he say? Something else, I can't remember what she said, but it was something, several things were in combination. Reading my book wasn't Sufism, as he understood it. And, I realized that, as she was saying that of course it's not what he expected, because what we're doing is always at the cutting edge. It is going to be in combination with other things, because that's what's taking place now. Previously, all of these traditions were geographical. Okay? Up until very recently, like 50 years ago. Well, when Sir Richard Burton and J.J. Arbury and those guys, those British officers, were translating,
It wasn't long ago.
Spiritual texts, no, like 100 years ago at the most, considering the length of the history of humanity.
Tibet has only been open since like
The 1950s, right? This combining these experiences and this knowledge, which is into some kind of cohesive whole, is just in its infancy. It's just beginning, and we're on the cutting edge. That's what we do. Because he read my book, which was basically the teachings of Pir Vilayat as filtered through me, right? And which is, all of these systems combined is what Pir Vilayat's genius was. So that's what we're doing. We're in this state of just beginning to discover a way for humanity to express itself in a more authentic manner, rather than the ego-centered need to continually describe yourself in some, basic format that you were told. I'm Italian. I'm American Indian. I'm a Hindu. Or, I'm black. Or I'm white, which should be ruling the world.
Well,
so on.
I've been encountering more and more people having preconceived ideas as to what Sufi is, and going to the web and looking it all up and saying, "Well, you're not a Sufi." And I said, "Well, yes and no."
Yeah.
Because it's not the traditional Sufism that we're doing.
No, not at all.
It's like it almost needs another.
That's not true. That's not true. We are doing the traditional Sufism because the traditional Sufism is always at the cutting edge of what humanity is capable of. Always.
Yeah.
That which is traditional, and we, if you fall back into it, then you're not doing Sufism. You're doing something just by rote.
You're doing a branch of Islam.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Okay.
there are lots of those. You have like Sufi families where it's much more structured and Islamic.
So my friend, I have a friend that lives in Florida now who used to come to our classes in Yonkers, and he told me this story once. He was in Turkey with one of our high-level teachers, and he happened to be a fly on the wall in a meeting of Sufi sheikhs from different orders it was in Istanbul or somewhere. There was like 6 or 7 of them, or 8 of them, all in the same room. All Turks, but there's like 4 or 5 orders in Turkey. And all of them looked to this American sheikh and said, "We're dying out. What we do doesn't work anymore. You guys are the cutting edge." Or words to that effect. So when you're told that's not Sufism, what they're saying is, I don't agree with your rationality. Remember what I said about rationality? Rationality is the reasons that you give yourself for your behavior. Right? You're not being rational. Okay, that's okay. All they're saying, they don't like your reasons.
One of the things that they don't understand is the universality. And I remember being at your apartment in Yonkers and wondering about that, and finding in Ibn Arabi about universality.
Mm-hmm.
It is not new to Sufi orders now.
No.
It's a beginning fundamental belief that
it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time to percolate through into actually become part of a culture.
If it ever does, because it's such a radical idea. I think maybe no matter when, we're so inclined to be, we want our community to be little, controllable, and tight.
That's a really, really bad mistake. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a bad mistake. I I keep thinking about this, keeps popping into my head. And it was, Marge and I we used to go to the abode regularly every couple of months to do the universal worship. We were part of, there's a rotating group of people. We're too far away now, but when we lived in Yonkers, it was okay. And there was one time, there's this dance or something that, I don't know who invented it, but it's basically a tune that incorporates the major religions, and it goes. Let me see if I can remember. Sri Ram Ahura Satnam Buddha Yahweh Lezam Allah toward the one. So I did that in the service, and had everybody stand up and doing that. Just in place. After the service, this guy comes up to me and says, "You're not supposed to say that word." I said, "What?" "Yeah, you're not supposed to say Yahweh. That's a secret word." And I said, "The secret's out." No secret anymore. Poor guy got very offended. I just think of that moment from time to time.
Yeah.
The secret's out. I had this conversation with the guy who's the president of the Theosophical Society. I go to Chicago every so often to give a talk. And he agreed with me. He said, "It's all there. It's all available. All this information. You can read it if you want. But do you apply it?" I think maybe what we need to do is recognize our own intelligence and our own intuitive response. Okay? In other words, if it feels right, that's good. If it feels uncomfortable, pay attention. Is it you or is it the presenter? If you're doing a practice that's been assigned to you and you're uncomfortable with it, tell your guide, "I don't like that, or I'm uncomfortable." And it might be that they made a mistake. I've made mistakes. When did I say the other day? Was it 4 mistakes?
Oh,
No, I was right 4 times. That was it. Hardly any.
Mistakes.
Yeah. So, as you are experiencing your being, as it experiences these practices, pay attention to the various responses that you're going to feel, and that could be multitudes. This is not a path for wimps.
Because sometimes, I was just thinking of I had planned to do the silsila in a meditation class I was leading, and there's always the same people there. Well, of course, just at the last minute, these people, 2 or 3 people came in which is very unusual, that I didn't know at all, and I wasn't sure about doing the silsila with strangers.
What'd you do?
I leaned over and whispered to Jaleel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thankful to have him there. Can I do the silsila? And he said, "It's on the internet." So that's how I frame it now. First, if I doubt myself, I think it's on the internet. But then there's still another question, then I can get closer to my own intuition. It's on the internet takes care of
the immediate fear.
Yes.
And the immediate trepidation.
I still might decide not to some other time, but first I'll remember it's on the internet.
All right, settle in with the breath.
read this, what Maja said again. Perhaps the clue to the wazifa is that all qualities have their realities in beings. We have a tendency to think of archetypes, like qualities, as existing on their own, but they exist in beings. Ultimately, of course, there is only one being, and so the key to understanding the whole contemplation of using the wazifas is to be found in the text of Al-Halaj, where he says that every time God contemplates a quality, it is manifested into existence. It is existentiated into a being. And you could say that all beings are the divine qualities manifested so that they become knowable, objects of knowledge. So in the wazifa, you are continuing the actions of God contemplating himself. Remember Pir Vilayat's famous statement? In the solitude of its unity, the only being fragmented itself out of love for the possibility of you and I, the stars, and the planets. So, you're a fragment, but in that fragment is the whole contained, even though it's a little fuzzy. This places the whole wazifa in a totally different perspective. You are conscious as you are repeating the wazifa of being the divine consciousness. You are turning the searchlight of consciousness on a particular quality. That's the one you have chosen for your wazifa, and it reveals to you its meaning. The meaning of the wazifa is something that is gradually revealed to you. Excuse me. The higher your consciousness, the more you are able to grasp the whole expanse of the meaning of the wazifa. The only way to discover it is to get more and more into the divine consciousness as you say the wazifa. Now notice he says the higher your consciousness. Does that mean that there's something wrong with you don't get it? Or that what you are really doing is enabling that which is already latent within you? See the difference? And we can say, oh gosh, this is way too big for me. Which is a kind of a normal thing to say, but it's not at all. Okay. That's that. Now, we can either stop here if you're too tired, or we can do some zikr.
Zikr. What?
Yeah. Zikr.
Yes? Oh, I have mine. Hand me that.
Let's form a circle.
Thank you. And somebody else maybe in the ground wood. Gracias. As long as you spoke of it. Might as well do it. This is what Kobia spoke of, the silsila. And the silsila is all orders have them. It's a list of the sheikhs and peers that have been in our order from Muhammad on down.
Allah first.
Mm-hmm. Hassan Basri, Abu Fazl Abdul Wahid bin Zaid, Abu Fayez Husayb bin Ayaz, Sultan Ibrahim Adham al-Baqi, Sa'aduddin Hazaifat Umarashi, Aminuddin Abu Bakr Abdullah Basri, Mam Sheruddin Wari, Abu Ishaq Shami Chisi Che Omashe, Abu Ahmed bin Firuz Nikul Chisti, Abu Yusuf Chisti, Mudu Chisti, Haji Sharif Zindani Chisti, Usman Haruni Chisti, Moinuddin Chisti, Qutubuddin Bakhtiar Kaki Chisti, Farid al-Haq Masir Ganji Sakat Chisti, Nizam al-Haq Waldin Muhammad bin Saeed Ahmed Badwani Bukhari Chisti, Nasruddin Waldin Mahmud Sirag Delhi Chisti, Sheikh Kamal al-Haq Waldin Masir Ba'alama Chisti, Siraj al-Haq Waldin Chisti, Halima al-Haq Chisti, Mahmud al-Frajin Chisti, Jamal al-Haq Chisti, Jaman Chisti, Muhammad Hassan Chisti, Muhammad Saeed Chisti, Yahya al-Madani Chisti, Kalimullah Jahanabadi Chisti, Nizam al-Haq Waldin Narangabadi Chisti, Fakir al-Haq Waldin Narangabadi Jahanabadi Chisti, Maulana Muhammad Qutubuddin Chisti, Maulana Muhammad Nasruddin Urf Kalimain Sayyid Chisti, Sayyid Muhammad Qibla Kalimi Delhi Chisti, Sayyid Muhammad Abu Hashim Madani Chisti, Pir Merchant Hazrat Inayat Khan Chisti, Pir Vilayat Inayat Khan Chisti, Pir Inayat Khan Chisti, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Merchant, Almadat Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To the right. Bismillah. To the left. Ar-Rahman. Right. Ar-Rahim. Bismillah. Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahim. Bismillah. Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahim. Bismillah. Ar-Rahman. Ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La la la. Okay, we'll end with Merchant Secret. La, la, el, il, Allah, la, ilaha, hearts, that we may hear thy voice, which constantly comes from within. Disclose to us thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us thy great goodness, teach us thy loving forgiveness, raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide us, send us the peace of thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in thy perfect being. Disclose to us thy divine light, 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 disclose to us thy divine light. Warner of coming dangers, awakener of the world from sleep, deliverer of the message of God, thou art our Savior, the sun at the dawn of creation, the light of the whole universe, the fulfillment of God's purpose. Thou, the life eternal, we seek refuge in thy loving enfoldment. Spirit of guidance, source of all beauty, and creator of harmony, love, lover, and beloved Lord, thou art our divine ideal. Amen.
Amen.
Okay,
Yeah, the top. Nice day.
Will you blow out the candle, baby?
Oh.